Hello and welcome to Under the Lights, a boxing talk show brought to you by Sportology TV with myself, Ali Drew. On the last episode of Under the Lights, we were joined by former European champion Spencer Oliver, who was talking about the Crawford-Brook fight. He was also looking ahead to the potential of AJ Fury in 2021, and he was discussing Canelo being a free agent and what is next for him. We now know what is next for Canelo, and we are joined by his next opponent's trainer. On this episode, we are delighted to be joined by a winner of Trainer of the Year, Joe Gallagher. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much. Try to survive in this pandemic, but all good. Thank you.
It's a busy time for you since the announcement of Canelo versus Callum Smith on December 19th. It's a fight that's been talked about for a long time. It's a fight you've wanted. How pleased are you now that it's happening, it's real, and you're ready to go?
Yeah, it was like, pardon the pun, but it was like Christmas Eve, and the next day we went into the gym. It was like Christmas Day. Obviously, everybody had stayed up for Canelo's announcement at 11 o'clock at night. We all had to watch it just to make sure that we did get the fight, because when he made the announcement on the day saying he was announcing his opponent, well, we were thinking, well, it's not us because there's no contract signed yet. So we thought we'd have been had. So it was right up until the last minute. And then we had to check that it was Callum, and he announced it, and then everyone was full of adrenaline. No one could sleep, and then they were up early, and like you say, time everyone got to the gym, they're all half shut-eyed. So yeah, it's been good. It's been mad since. Obviously, the scale of the fight, the huge fight it is, the pound for pound number one taking on the number one at 168, Callum Smith. It's a huge fight, and full credit to Callum Smith for taking the fight at such short notice, 4 weeks' notice, when obviously he's got to miss out on that Canelo big fight week experience with huge crowds. Like I said, there was 50-odd thousand there when his brother Liam fought him, and missing out there. And I'm sure he would have got a lot more money with a crowd there, as would Canelo. But the fact that he wanted to fight him and take him on, full credit to him. And yeah, like I say, we've just been mad busy since. Obviously, you can imagine interview requests for Callum and everything, but we're trying to squeeze 10 weeks of media content into 4 weeks, which is very hard when all we want to do is just to be Callum to be left alone and train and get the game plan and get it right.
Yeah, because as you say, it's short notice, only 4 weeks. Was he already in training and just sort of ticking over? And are you sort of changing things up now you've got the sort of go ahead, or were you always sort of in camp?
No, I'm always a believer. As you know, I've always said about fighters being in the gym, staying in the gym, part of the old school, that generation of the hat in it era where it was fashionable to blow up, and it's not good. No longevity. Obviously, the days when I was at Champs Camp, Carl Thompson, Ensley Bingham, Frank Grant, but always in the gym all the time, no more than 5-7 pounds overweight. Phone call comes, you take it, and you see that with Quigg and Crawler over the years, and obviously Callum Smith now as well. He was in the gym, ticking over, training, and just in case he did get it. And now, obviously, like I said, we have had the phone call. We can go into our sparring that we need to be for tough sparring for the next few weeks, and really nail it down. But it was a case of, right, we're not just rolled out of bed and we've done nothing. Callum's always been in the gym, kept up his S&C, and like I say, we were ready to go. Obviously, we would have liked the 10-week camp that everyone gets, 12 weeks, but it is what it is. And like I say, full credit to him. He's confident in his own ability, and I am, in going out there and pulling off an upset.
When do you actually fly out there? When are you going out there, and what's the plan?
I think we fly out, I think it's 2 weeks on Friday. So the fight's on the 19th, the 12th, I think we fly out on the 10th, something like that. But we've got to understand when we go there and we arrive, we've got to be in a bubble for like 10 days. That's got to be very hard and taxing. And there's a flip side to it, Ali, because of Callum hasn't had the 10, 11 weeks build up, and you get people phoning and tickets and this and that. Sometimes fighters, when they get to fight week, they're mentally drained by the time it comes round. Because this is so short and it's happening like crash bang wallop, it'll be here before we know it. So it could be mentally fresh still. I think that the hard thing is when we are in America, when we are in hotel rooms, when we can't go nowhere, when we're used to being able to, oh, let's have a drive here, or let's go for a walk around the block. I think that's got to be very hard and intense for 10 days, but can't complain. We're there to do a job, and we're there to fight. I'm sure he can kill time by catching up on whatever's on Netflix or go-karting, Mario, whatever he does with his brothers. So, yeah, tough times.
And over there, is the rules different? Have they got small crowds, or have they got no crowds? How many people are you allowed? Is it different to the sort of behind closed door shows here?
Yeah, well, recently, not long ago, Gervonta Davis fought Leo Santa Cruz at the same venue. And I think they had, it was 13 or 15,000 fans there. So I'm thinking the time Canelo fight week comes, I'm sure it may be like 23, 25,000. But for fans from the UK to get into America, that's very hard. Obviously, Callum's team at the moment busy trying to get working visas and applications and everything to be able to travel. Have not any idea what it's like for normal people to try and go, because as far as I'm aware, it's only for work, unless everyone's going over doing whatever type of work, I don't know, to get into America. And that's why I feel a little bit sorry for Callum in a way. He isn't experiencing the big fight week where 20, 30,000 Scousers would have turned up and all had a great time over it. But yeah, like you say, over there, we'll be under lockdown, but there will be some crowd of some sorts, from what I've been told.
And in a way, I suppose Canelo is used to the massive shows, massive crowd, big, humongous turnouts. So in a way, it could benefit Callum. Obviously, he's used to big crowds, but it could benefit him maybe having the smaller crowd, because Canelo will definitely not be used to that.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's and Callum, like you say, is boxed in crowds, but nothing to the scale of what your Canelos has. But Callum being an amateur and boxing around the world and empty halls and arenas and performing won't make much of a difference. But I just think Canelo's too good a professional, too good a fighter. He's pound for pound number one. He's got to turn up, just like Josh Taylor did at York or Bethnal Green. But when they're at that level and that magnitude, that's not got to faze them. And that's it. I don't think it. I thought it made a difference with the Natasha Jonas Terry Harper fight, because Terry was being built up in front of crowds in Doncaster and Sky, and the big thing where Tasha was used to as an amateur boxing, and then to also, and it did, and it showed. But for the likes of Canelo and Callum, I think it obviously may suit Callum a little bit better that there's not 80,000 screaming Mexicans for his blood. Do you know what I mean? That might make a difference.
And obviously, Liam Smith has fought him, so you've studied Canelo. Everyone has watched Canelo for years, but are you studying him a lot more now, leading up to this fight, and as you've seen his recent performances?
Yeah, because Liam is a different type of fighter to Callum, and the fighters that we studied Canelo with for Liam that's that. Now we've got to look at Canelo when he's fought similar style fighters to Callum Smith. So yeah, it's the thing studying Canelo. I've watched him for a good while now. Over the weekend, I was just like square eyes after it. You begin to appreciate how good he is, how much even better he really is. Little things that he does that normal people, casuals, even boxing commentators don't pick up on. What he is really a proper throwback old school fighter. He does little things. He positions fighters where he wants to be. He has fighters boxing to his speed, his rhythm, his timing, and then Canelo will put it on them. And then, like when they try to fight back, he just puts the blanket on them, and you can't do nothing. So, yeah, we're studying him hard, and we're working on a lot of stuff. But usually confident that Callum can cause Canelo huge problems and get the win.
Do you think that sort of Callum's style is gonna just cause problems for Canelo? Maybe Canelo's not used to Callum's style. They're totally different, in their styles.
I wouldn't say so, to be honest, Ali, because the fact that when you watch him against Chavez, he was a big fighter, good inside fighter. That was a Mexican big fight, and Canelo bullied him around the ring. You've seen him against Rocky Fielding, just went through him. Kovalev started slow, come down the straight, beat him. No, I think the bigger the opponent, the better Canelo performs. I think when he fights smaller people, like a Cotto or Mayweather, he has problems. I think the bigger fighters, I think he thinks is a bigger target to aim for. I think what he has, Kovalev's a good puncher, so he was always aware coming in. It's down to Callum Smith to win this fight, and we've had a chat in the gymnasium and we spoke. We can't go over there thinking we've got to win on points. You're not winning on points against Canelo over there. So let's just get that one right out of the window. And we've got to stop Canelo. Well, that's a huge statement because no one else has ever had a chance of stopping him. Mayweather, best pound for pound. Big punches, like I've just said, he's fought before. Triple G's hit him clean on the chin. Jacobs has never budged him. So you just think, wow, this really is mission impossible. But we've got to go over there, and Callum's got to go over there, that he punches just as hard, if not harder than Canelo, but he's got to punch regular and often and hard. It's no point moving and not doing anything. And Canelo nicking rounds by just having a burst, or to give Canelo rounds just for walking forward over there without throwing anything. So we've got to go in there and absolutely make sure we're in a good chance. And the other way by winning the fight is landing hard, regular and often. And he's got to do that, but do that in a good manner. And do it not recklessly, but in a good game plan, nice and composed, and start making Canelo frustrated, wanting to take chances, and make sure when that huge push comes down the straight from Canelo that we can fight fire with fire.
Obviously, it's a shame that it's happening with not the, the same level of crowds and everything that's going on. But how pleased are you? Because obviously at one point, I bet you were thinking this fight will never happen. It's been talked about for a long time. He had the fight with Billy Joe Saunders that got cancelled. Just what a relief is it to actually, before you even go over there, just to actually have the fight lined up now.
Yeah, and that's the interview's a few days old now, Ali. If you would have got me last week, like the smile was like the Joker. It was from there to there. It was permanently on my face. No, it is, because at one point now, this has been a long time coming. He first spoke about Callum 18 months ago, and then it went quiet. Then we were in Arizona in December last year, had a meeting with Eddie Reynoso. He assured me that Canelo would fight Callum this year. Then Billy Joe got it, and you just thought, I've said it before, it was like very much when Mayweather was mentioning Amir Khan, and it was always Amir was in it, and then it wouldn't be Amir, it'd be Madan, or it'd be someone else, and we thought, we're not going to end up like that. So the fact, that's what I said to you earlier, we had to watch it to make sure them words, Smith, came out of his mouth. And when he did, like you say, it's sad that it's only 4 weeks' notice, because if it was 10, 12 weeks, I think we all would have gone on a mad bender for celebrating for getting the fight and just having all one big last blowout before we all went into camp. So, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, but do you understand? But, that's it. But it's a huge opportunity to Callum. And not only that, though, it's not like Callum's won the opportunity in a raffle or is being picked as someone. Callum's the number one at 168. Canelo's the number one pound for pound fighter. That's a huge fight. This is a huge challenge for Canelo. And Canelo having the power because of who he is and the draw he is, and giving people 4, 5, 6 weeks notice, that's what you've got to deal with. But it's up to you to go in there and make the most of it and make every second, every minute, every hour of every day count between now and December the 19th when that bell rings. And like I say, it's huge for Callum, and it's also huge for me as well to go up against Eddie Reynoso. Now, Callum in the past beat George Groves for Paul. Now, hopefully he can beat Canelo for Liam. And it's funny, we were talking in the gym today, how many people from the Northwest Canelo has actually fought. When you look at Matthew Hatton, Rocky Fielding, Liam Smith, Amir Khan, now Callum Smith. And it's like, wow, one of us has got to get lucky one day, haven't we, Alice? So hopefully Callum Smith's got to be the man to do that.
Do you think it's the way it is, but do you think it's a little bit dangerous to have someone like Canelo who, everything he's achieved, he's, pound for pound great, but that he's got a lot of control? I mean, he's now left his promotion company, he's just doing it on his own. Do you think that that's almost like dangerous to have someone who can pick who and when, what they do, how much money? It's all on him. He decides everything. He gives little notice to his opponents. Do you think that that's a sort of dangerous position for not for the boxer? I mean, sure, he loves it, but for the boxing world.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just doing what Floyd Mayweather did to him, because Floyd was the man at the time. He knew when to pick the right opponents at the right time and take calculated risks. And you've seen that with Canelo this year after Kovalev beat Anthony Yarde. Canelo dangled the carrot because everyone knows that's the golden ticket. That's the payday. And like I say, Callum Smith could have easily turned around and went, no, I'll wait till next year, I'll wait till the crowd, I'll wait till there's more money. But he's gone, nah, bollocks, I'm having it. Do you know what I mean? We've got to go and do this, and full credit to him. But yeah, I do feel it's wrong that someone can have that type of monopoly. But then it motivates people to be able to get in that position and that power. You see, most probably Anthony Joshua over here in this country have that type of power and relationship with Sky and Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. It's like, he tells you what to do and everyone's frightened and bow down to it because they're scared of losing him. So, yeah, because he's the gate, he's the draw, and he's the money. And I think that's the same with Canelo. It'll be interesting to see who the next superstar will be in 10 years' time. That'll be weird because your eras of your Mayweathers, your Pacquiaos, your Canelos, all of them are all got to be gone, and you just wonder who is the next superstars coming through.
Yeah, to control it. Well, as you said earlier, you don't want to go to points. I just want to talk about Natasha Jonas. Obviously, her fight with Terry Harper going to points, bit controversial. What's the latest with Tash? What's sort of happening there?
Well, Tasha's training. She's trained. She was in this morning. She trained yesterday, sparred yesterday. I think all the fighters realise now that if Callum Smith has got to take 4 weeks' notice to take on the pound-for-pound #1 in the world, how can you say to other promoters, I need 6 or 8 weeks' notice? I think it's given the promoters a bit of a, hang on a minute, Callum Smith's fighting him with 4 or 5 weeks' notice. Who do you think you are wanting 10 weeks? So there's a little bit of that. So Tasha's in the gym, she's training. She's doing well with a bit of a TV celebrity life, punditry work at the moment. She's looking $1 million.
Well, she's looking great. She looked amazing the other night.
She's talking sense and she's doing well. And as you know, it's just a total different thing being fighting in the ring to being all of a sudden sat with a camera and just feeling all of a sudden the eyes of the world are watching and listening to every word that you say. So she's doing well with that. She's getting better at that. And the plan is for her to fight next year. She wants the Terry Harper rematch. She's adamant that she wants. I thought it was one the best stunts that they pulled last time, bringing her down there and not referencing her as an opponent for Terry, but one for Katie. But if the Katie Taylor opportunity presented itself, Natasha has said she'll fight anyone from 130 to 140, whether that be Jessica Caskill, whether that be Katie Taylor, or whether that be Terry Harper. That they're the fights that she wants. You know, and I know, Steffi Bull and Terry Harper want nothing to do with Tasha Jonas, none whatsoever. And as well as she did last time out, I didn't see no improvements in there at all. I still seen the same Terry Harper in there. She got hit on the nose a few times by a jab and went on the back foot. She's still a little bit of gun shy. Her confidence still needs rebuilding. And they have got no plans whatsoever of putting Terry Harper anywhere near Natasha Jonas at the moment, unless she ages another year or so. But what they should do is do the right thing. And that was a draw. It was controversial. Everyone in boxing, even Sky said the other night during commentary in a fight that Natasha Jonas won it. Boxing News said she won it. Everyone said they won it. I seen Steffi Bull saying only Joe and a few Scousers thought she won. Everyone thought she won. So that fight, the WBC, have to say, that's it. I know they've got to go on for unifications, but at some point she'll have to revisit that and get it on, because Eddie Hearn says when we're on about women's pay, it should go on the popularity. It's a popularity contest now. Well, I think Natasha Jonas's profile at the moment is very high and very good. And if that's what you're saying, Eddie, will make the fight. It's the fans that everyone wants to see. The Sky want it. They've said they want it. People in the street want to see it. It was one of the best fights of the year, one of the best fights at Fight Camp. Natasha's got a good profile. So make the fight and give the girls the money that they're due. And Natasha Jonas especially. And it's well documented what's gone on in the past. and don't be trying to give her rubbish money, because she has got a profile and was in a good fight. If you can rematch Dylan White-Povetkin, where it's concussive ending, then surely you can rematch Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas.
Definitely. And obviously the rise in women's boxing is amazing at the moment. You know, there is incredible movements happening. And obviously having trained a female boxer, do you think that they should have 3-minute rounds? As Tasha said, that would be better. Does she think it's better? Because that's part of the debate with the pay, and they think, it should be the same 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, I understand what they're saying to try and debate it with the pay, but I wouldn't want to see women doing 3 minutes boxing. What I would see is do 12-2s instead of 10-2s. World title fight should be 12-2s. I don't want to see 3 minutes. I just don't want to see that at all. And as far as the pay, and everyone touches on it, we're not asking for Anthony Joshua money. We're not asking that type of money, but the money that Natasha was offered for world title fights was a joke when prospects hadn't fought for titles were on more money than you, and yet you're fighting for a world title. That's not right. And as Natasha says, okay, Natasha's S&C coach costs the same as it is for Callum Smith. Natasha's nutritional products is still the same as it is for Callum Smith. Natasha's sparring partners cost the same as Callum Smith's. Natasha's gym fees cost the same. So the costings and the going outs are all the same, yet they want to pay them less, much less. And it's like, no, we understand it's not threes, but there's there and there's there. We want it there. Do you understand? It's very much, we understand Wimbledon's tennis, men's 5 sets, women's 3 sets. Do many people want to watch women's 5 sets? No, not really. A lot of people say women's tennis is a lot more skillful than men's tennis? Yes, it is, mostly because they don't have the power, obviously, the Williams and everything else. But the men's is serve, smash, and it's over. So everyone commented about Natasha Jonas and Terry Harper's fight. What great skill set they had over the 2 minutes, and they could watch it and enjoy it. And especially as women's boxing is growing, the academy, my academy at the moment, for 16 to 18-year-olds, has got 5 girls on it. 3 of them are national champions. 1 travels in from Leeds every day, and you can see this next generation of 16, 18, 19-year-old girls coming through the amateurs. In 5-10 years' time, the depth pool will be bigger and stronger, because there's a debate about a world champion and a mandatory, and someone saying some of the mandatories for Katie Taylor and Terry Harper the other night, they weren't up to scratch. But that will be the case in years to come. But it's not long happened, so you've got to let it grow and grow and grow. But it will do. But as far as pay, we're not asking to be on the same money as AJ for a world title fight or Dylan White, but you've got to be on more than what a male man's getting for an English title or a British title. Do you understand?
Yeah, because I suppose the men aren't on equal. The men aren't on equal. Anthony Joshua won't be paid the same as and probably anyone else who's fighting. Men aren't equal, so it's not.
No, exactly. Men aren't equal. Katie Taylor's up there. Do you know what I mean? Everyone else is down here. Anthony Joshua, Canelo, they're up there. So men aren't paid equal. Callum Johnson. Do you know what I mean? It's just it isn't so. It's there, but I do think, as Eddie says, it's that popularity. Well, you can't get 2 more popular girls by Katie Taylor at the moment than Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas. So make the fight and pay the money where it deserves. So, but like I say, women's boxing's doing great. You've got Rachel Ball, Savannah Marshall, Chantel Cameron, who I thought boxed a brilliant fight. It's grown and growing. 21, 22 years ago, we had Jane Couch, and she had to go and fight in America. All of a sudden, we've got 4 or 5 world champions in this country, and more coming through that are chomping on the bit. Do you understand? So it's exciting times for women's boxing. But I do feel that, as I just said to you there, their costings, their rent, their gas, electric, training fees, everything else is all the same. So we're not asked to be, but she's not being asked to be paid the same, but more than what's being offered at the moment.
Well, you mentioned your academy there. I just want to touch on the grassroots, that boxing hasn't had any funding or help from the government at the moment. What is your thoughts on, obviously, some of the sports that have had a massive sort of investment from the government? Boxing has been left off the list. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. how boxing wasn't on it. I don't know who was championing boxing with the government to get it on the list, whoever it was for other sports. And can't call it any other sports because all sports at grassroots level are very important for all children. Any type of physical exercise for their mental well-being, getting out there in fresh air, having that competition, it's doing something, it's learning about the body. So any sport. So I can't sit down and go, well, that's got that money and that's got that money. It's all thinking, but where you may have give too much to one, you could have skimmed off and made sure everyone got something instead of only some getting a lot. Does that make sense? And I think there's lots of sports out there that didn't get it, and boxing being one. Yeah, it's funny, boxing is still the only sport that, apart from mostly WWE and UFC, that does pay-per-view. They've tried to do pay-per-view in the Premier League. You see they've kicked back at that now. Now they've tried to decide to charge you £25 to watch Anthony Joshua. Now there's talking about, because there's no crowd, but now they're saying there might be a crowd. So will Sky knock that fiver back off and bring it back down to £20? No, they won't. So it's just like, well, from that extra fiver, why don't you donate that to amateur boxing feedback at grassroots level, some way or another? Or I see Eddie Hearns wrote to the government. Obviously, he's got a huge profile, and maybe he can, but it's disappointing that the government didn't see the value and the worth of what amateur boxing does for kids in the States, up and down the country, who may not be academically good, may not do anything, or are, but it gives them an outlet, a dream, a vision to be the next Joshua at the Olympics, to be the next Floyd Mayweather, very much like it was years ago, to be the next Sugar Ray Leonard, the Muhammad Ali, the Mike Tyson. And it is an outlet for them, for kids with anger issues or kids who are lacking of self-confidence. And I think that was more disappointing, that the acknowledgement of the work that's done in the community at grassroots level by academies and amateur boxing clubs. I think that was more disappointing. I think that their actions spoke volumes.
Yeah, I agree. Just before we finish, I just want to get your prediction on a fight this weekend. It's Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce. Finally, it's happening. That's been off and on, postponed for ages. I just want to have your prediction on that fight, because I've seen a lot. I was surprised at how even it seems to be split. I've seen a lot of, people don't seem to know how it's going to go.
You don't? Who do you think?
Having seen them both, obviously working for Frank Warren so long, I think that I think Dubois will stop him in the first couple of rounds, or if he doesn't, Joyce will win. That's what I think, that he's only got a few rounds, and then if not, I think Joe Joyce will win.
So who are you picking?
I hate this.
Out your backside.
I'm going to say Dubois.
Right, okay. But you know what? I must have changed my mind around 10, 20 times over the last week. At first, I thought Daniel Dubois. I thought he, athletically wise, he looks the part, punches well, good team around him, old head, young shoulders type of kid. Mm-hmm. And I was hugely impressed. But then you think, Nathan Gorman, was that such a big win? Did Nathan Gorman really perform that well? Was it really what it was and why it did turn out? Joe Joyce, Olympian silver medalist, been around the world, fought the best, been in camp with AJ. No one's ever heard nothing from Sheffield about him being knocked out by Joshua or being knocked out. Little things and little snippets that you hear. I'm sure in the past they would have sparred each other. Mm-hmm. I think they have. Now, I think one day Daniel Dubois must have had a good day, and then another day Joe Joyce must have had a good day. So for the reason for the pair of them wanting to take it, that they both think they can do each other, and that's what fascinates. Now, Joe just keeps coming, and he's strong, and he keeps coming, and you can't see. It's like you just can't move him. Daniel Dubois got all the tools to go on and become a world champion. But I liken this very much like to when Ben fought Watson right at the very beginning, very young in the careers, and everyone expected Ben to win, but Watson won. Didn't mean they couldn't go on and become world champions, and obviously Nigel Benn did, and I think this is this type of fight. I think Dubois has got good punches. I think, as you say, Joyce can get to him. What I'm really good about this is like Joyce has got to pull him into the trenches and into a fight, and he's got to get hit. Unless Joe's got old overnight and he's spent too long on the amateurs and spent too long in that World Boxing Series going around the world, and it just ages him overnight, we don't know. But both have got to get chin checked. And whoever I say now, I'll most probably change my mind tomorrow. So
I keep changing as well.
So at the moment, how I'm feeling about it at the moment, I fancy possibly Joyce with a very late stoppage.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I change my mind a lot. Normally, I never change my mind. I'm like, that's my decision and that's it. But this, I have changed a lot, so it will be interesting to see. But
or the last split point. So I don't know.
I don't think it will go to points. I think it'll either be an early stoppage for Dubois or a late stoppage for Joyce. I just don't see it going to points.
Okay.
I can't see how they can keep that like.
So why would you say early stoppage? You question Joyce's chin?
Which I know it is, because there's no reason to question that. But I just have seen the power of like sat ringside of Dubois. I just.
They're talking to you now. I'm thinking to myself. I just said Joyce late on, but I'm thinking to myself, Dubois hits regular and often. You keep cracking, you'll crack the rock, and maybe it's Dubois that stops Joyce late.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it could go anyway. You just don't know.
No, and listen, fair play to Frank, credit for both fighters there. I think that fight, the Callum Smith fight, I think they're the two standout fights that people want to see before the end of the year. I think like it's got everyone talking.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're super busy, and good luck on the 19th of December. Enjoy the whole experience, you and Callum, and I'm very pleased that you finally got the fight. Yeah,
no, me too. And like I say, if Callum's got a great chance of, I can't start getting goosebumps. He's got a great chance of becoming the number one pound for pound fighter, and the UK haven't had one for a very, 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 very long time. And it's just like, wow, like it's that close. We've got to go out there, seize the moment, and just go out there and come away saying we give it our best shot, have no regrets.
So exciting. Well, good luck. Thank you so much, Joe.
No problem, Ella. Thank you.
We'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Great to be joined there by Joe Gallagher, trainer to Callum Smith, who's taking on Canelo on December 19th. Best of luck to them. But guys, we have plenty more shows coming up, some great guests lined up. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, leave us some comments so we know your thoughts, and share, do as much as you can to support us. And we will see you next time.